Hello, I'm Raymond and you're tuning into Nightline. The top stories. Unity Government Secretariat to form 3 committees agrees to work together in state polls. And Turkey, Syria earthquake, WHO estimates death toll may cross 20,000. Good morning. Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim on Tuesday announced 5 new appointments for the special advisory body that would be responsible to assist him as finance minister. The Prime Minister said that the members of the special advisory body would not receive any payment from the government. In a short statement, Dr. Sri Anwar said the advisory body, comprising professionals and experts in the economic sector, will be headed by the former Petronas president and CEO Tan Sri Hassan Merican. The 4 others are FVSB Sdn Bhd Executive Chairman Dr. Ahmad Fuad Mat Ali, Sunway University's Professor of Economics Professor Dr. Ye Kim Leng, University Malaya's Professor of Economics Distinguished Professor Dato Dr. Raja Rasya, and Sarawak Energy Berhad Chairman Dr. Amar Abdul Hamid Sepawi. The cabinet lineup under the unity government is capable of raising the country's dignity and upholding the spirit of Malaysia Madani. In line with these aspirations, Prime Minister Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim wants the cabinet and civil servants to work as a team by inculcating trust in the work culture. In his speech during the monthly assembly of the Prime Minister's Department, Dr. Sri Anwar also urged all ministries and agencies to improve their respective operational efficiency in every aspect involving the people. He said that the sincerity of leaders and civil servants in carrying out their duties can free the people from all forms of oppression.
Tentunya masih ada di peringkat penguasaan, saya lihat ada lagi yang sedikit sebanyak kecuaian. Ya, ada yang kalau tidak kita tangani akan menyebabkan rakyat resah. Kita kata bebaskan perlombaan, tapi kalau dia terpaksa berjam-jam untuk mendapatkan apa-apa lesen dan sebagainya, itu bagi saya perlu diperbaiki.
The Prime Minister also acknowledged the teamwork shown by the Cabinet and civil servants over the past few months, such as in the management of foreign workers, as well as floods and the immediate deployment of the Special Malaysia Disaster Assistance and Rescue Team SMART to Turkey. He also called for the civil servants' commitment and enthusiasm to implement changes to drive the country in a better direction. In other news, the Unity Government Secretariat has established 3 committees, including an election committee to draft strategies for the upcoming state elections. Prime Minister Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the other 2 committees are the Strategy Committee and the Government and Political Agenda Monitoring Committee.
Dan jatuhkuasa ini tentunya akan merencanakan hal-hal pilihan raya negeri, terutamanya, dan pembahagian kerusi, dan menumpukan kegiatan mereka untuk memastikan kita punya tapak yang kukuh dalam menghadapi pilihan raya negeri ini. Suatu hal yang disepakati yang sangat positif bagi saya ialah kerana kesepakatan dan komitmen semua parti, termasuk rakan-rakan kita dari Sabah Sarawak, perpaduan.
He said this in a press conference after chairing the first Unity Government Secretariat meeting, which began about 8:30 p.m. at Menara Dato' on Tuesday. Dr. Sri Anwar, who is also Pakatan Harapan PH chairman, added that the election committee will meet soon and involve every party's election director. He also said that the Strategic Communications Committee will tackle extreme cases of slander, while the Government and Political Agenda Monitoring Committee would focus on policies, including those involving the cost of living. The Prime Minister also noted that the Deputy Prime Minister, Dato' Sri Fadilah Yusof, was appointed as the Secretariat's Secretary General, while UMNO Youth Chief Dato' Ashraf Wajdi Dusuki as Chief of the Secretariat.
Ya Allah. Jangan ambil.
The World Health Organization, WHO, on Tuesday warned that up to 23 million people could be affected by the massive earthquake that has killed thousands in Turkey and Syria. During a special meeting on the tragedy, which held a minute's silence for the victims, the WHO said event overview maps show that potentially 23 million people are exposed, including around 5 million vulnerable populations. It promised long-term assistance and vowed that the agency would work closely with all partners to support authorities in both countries in the critical hours and days ahead, and in the months and years to come, as both countries recover and rebuild. Currently, it said, in the immediate and midterm, the organization considers that the main unmet needs may be in Syria, where the situation is particularly dire in the northern parts of the country, which has already been decimated by years of war. Meanwhile, Turkey on Tuesday declared a 3-month state of emergency in 10 southeastern provinces worst affected by the earthquake that has killed 5,100 people in the country and neighboring Syria. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said the state of emergency is to ensure that rescue work can be carried out quickly in the country's southeast. He added that his government would send more than 50,000 aid workers to the area and allocate $5.3 billion in financial help. Meanwhile, Syria, already crippled from years of war and terrorism, is the least prepared for such a crisis. The affected regions are home to thousands of internally displaced people already living in dire conditions like tents and makeshift shacks, with very little health and emergency service infrastructure to rely on. So far, at least 3,549 fatalities have been reported in Turkey, and more than 1,600 people have died in Syria. The death toll is expected to keep rising, with many people still trapped beneath the rubble. Malaysia, through the Special Malaysia Disaster Assistance and Rescue Team, SMART, is one of the first countries to assist Turkey in the search and rescue SAR of earthquake victims in the country, with the team successfully mobilized within 24 hours. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Sabah, Sarawak Affairs and Special Duties, Dato' Armizan Muhammad Ali, said the Turkish government had informed that presently only help in terms of urban SAR operations was required. In an exclusive interview on Bernama Radio on Tuesday, Dato' Armizan said that the SMART team will first head to Adana Airport, which is close to Ground Zero. From there, the team will begin their duties as coordinated by the Turkish government. The 70-member team, led by Commander Muhammad Khairul Jamil, arrived safely in Turkey at 5:50 a.m. local time earlier on Tuesday. The group, comprising a medical team from the Royal Health Corps, the K9 unit of the Malaysian Fire and Rescue Department, and a special hazardous chemical hazmat team, left for Istanbul from Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA, late Monday night via a Turkish Airlines flight. Dato' Armizan also said that meetings would be held with the Turkish Embassy in Kuala Lumpur to determine the need for an emergency medical team, EMT, to be deployed to the country. Meanwhile, the Malaysian Embassy in Turkey has contacted the 13 Malaysians in the region affected by the earthquake on Monday, and all of them were confirmed to be safe. However, Malaysian Ambassador to Turkey, Sazali Mustafa Kamal, said all of them are still stranded due to logistic factors, as no one is allowed to go into the areas hit by the devastating disaster.
Namun demikian, mereka masih berada di dalam kawasan bencana berkenaan, memandangkan kawasan tersebut tidak mudah untuk orang-orang awam memasuki, memandangkan usaha-usaha yang giat dijalankan oleh pasukan mencari dan menyelamat pihak Turki dan dari pelbagai buah negara.
Jimmy Choo, the brand, is synonymous with seductive city life and high glamour. But the origins of this iconic fashion brand are not British, but Malaysian and from Pulau Pinang. From royals to Hollywood royalty, Jimmy Choo is one of the most sought-after brands in the world.
I'm Jimmy Choo. Join me on Money Matter this Saturday at 5 p.m. only on TV Tikal.
The government will set up a permanent secretariat to coordinate and avoid overlapping of technical and vocational education and training TVET courses at all levels. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said this was because there were some ministries and departments found to have offered similar courses and some TVET centres producing graduates with a low level of marketability. Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid, who's also Rural and Regional Development Minister, said the permanent secretariat would involve the private sector and industry players forging strategic partnerships with TVET centres across the country. He also urged the industry players to train the lecturers and staff at the TVET centres with skills needed in the industry.
Dengan cara itu, MOA, Memorandum of Agreement, akan diadakan. Dalam tempoh 3 bulan ini, sebanyak 10 pemain industri yang telah dikenal pasti akan menandatangani perjanjian secara terus dengan pusat-pusat latihan TVET ini yang akan saya pantau sendiri bagi pelaksanaan sebagai usaha quick wins di peringkat awal.
Speaking to the media after chairing the TVET Council meeting in Putrajaya on Tuesday, Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid added that among the companies involved in the MOAs are Petronas, DRB Highcom and hospitality centres related to the tourism sector. He also said that some selected TVET centres will be used as entrepreneurship training centres to produce graduates in the field. He also pointed out that new legislation or amendments to the existing law on TVET should be made as soon as possible so that it can involve the private sector as practiced in some developed countries. The Titiwangsa station will be developed as the main public transport hub in the Klang Valley in conjunction with the operation of Mass Rapid Transit MRT-2, which is expected to start in mid-March. According to Transport Minister Anthony Loke, the hospital Kuala Lumpur station is also considered as one of the main stations on the route, as the area is always congested with parking and traffic.
Dengan adanya pembukaan MRT 2 ini, maka ada 3 mode di sana, iaitu MRT 2, LRT dan juga monorail. Dan untuk masa hadapan, MRT 3 juga akan ada satu stesen di kawasan ataupun stesen Titiwangsa tersebut. Dan juga ada stesen bas juga.
He noted that transit-oriented development, TOD, will also be developed near the station involved. A specific launch date for the 57.7-kilometre MR2 line from Sungai Buloh to Putrajaya will be fixed once trial runs and system fine-tuning are completed. MRT2 will operate a total of 47 train sets and is expected to have a ridership of 200,000 passengers a day within a year or two of its launch. The Health Ministry MOH will hold regular meetings with hospital directors and stakeholders to identify the causes and find solutions to various issues occurring in health facilities nationwide. Its Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa said at the moment her ministry is awaiting feedback on the effectiveness of the measures implemented so far to overcome the problems at the health facilities, such as congestion at the emergency department in hospitals.
Di antara perkara yang telah kita mulakan, yang pertamanya yang saya sebut langkah pertama ialah kita nak buat audit dan kita juga melihat keberkesanan beberapa perkara yang telah kita laksanakan. Contohnya standard hours kepada klinik kesihatan yang attached kepada hospital. Yang terbaru saya dengar contohnya di Hospital Kelang, mereka telah melakukan bukanlah sekatan, tapi maksudnya memastikan yang hadir betul-betul ke emergency department itu atau ED itu hanyalah mereka-mereka yang pesakit-pesakit yang betul-betul orang kata emergency lah, dari cold cases disalurkan kepada klinik.
Speaking to reporters at her ministry's office in Putrajaya on Tuesday, Dr. Zaliha also said that the MOH had deployed several officers to the ground to gather feedback and information on the situation at public hospitals and health clinics. She noted that the information will help the ministry to determine the best way to resolve the issues. The federal government is ready to assist the Selangor government in tackling the issue of contaminated water to ensure sufficient supply capacity of treated water in the state, especially in the Klang Valley. Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change Minister Nik Ahmad said that he had already met Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Amiruddin Syari to discuss the matter.
Antara perkara yang kita bincangkan dan Selangor juga minta sokongan daripada pihak Kerajaan Persekutuan ialah tentang soal pertama ialah soal menambah margin air untuk negeri Selangor, dan sebab dia berkaitan, bila ada pencemaran dia ada impak besar sekarang sebab margin air di Selangor tu mungkin agak rendah lah secara relatifnya.
Commenting on the high levels of ammonia detected in Sungai Selangor recently, Nik Nazmi said his ministry, through the National Water Services Commission, SPAN, and the Selangor government will work together to address the problem. In response to the issue, Selangor Water Management Authority, LUAS, said it detected a spike in ammonia readings at the state's main water treatment plant on February 2nd. However, the water quality readings have returned to normal at below 1 milligram per litre within the permissible level recommended by the Health Department and did not disrupt the water treatment plant's operations. Still to come on Nightline, third wave of French pension protests keeps pressure on Macron. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Nightline. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak reshuffled his cabinet on Tuesday, breaking up 2 departments to better suit his pledges to spur the economy and turn around his party's fortunes before an election expected next year. The changes, which were welcomed and criticised in equal measure by business groups and green energy supporters, might not offer a silver bullet to all Britain's ills, but it would help Sunak try to deliver on his agenda. In the changes, Sunak created a new energy security and net zero department led by former business minister Grant Shapps and 3 other departments, with one focusing on science and innovation. Trade Secretary Kemi Badenoch was given an expanded role including business and trade, while former Culture Minister Michelle Donnellan was appointed to run the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology, and former Housing Minister Lucy Fraser took on the new role for Culture, Media and Sport. The former finance minister and multi-millionaire, who once worked for a hedge fund, is trying to steer the economy through a prolonged period of double-digit inflation and stagnation, a situation worsened by the soaring cost of energy. In other news, landslides in southern Peru have left at least 15 people dead and 2 others missing, as the death toll is expected to rise from the disaster. It was reported that 20 more people were treated for minor injuries. The Defense Ministry stated that it is assisting in the efforts by providing helicopters, tents, water tanks, sandbags and disaster relief personnel. In the meantime, Peru's National Emergency Center said search and rescue efforts are ongoing. In France, public transport, schools and refinery supplies were disrupted on Tuesday as trade unions led a 3rd wave of nationwide strikes against President Emmanuel Macron's plans to make the French work longer before retirement. The government said people must work 2 years longer, meaning for most until the age of 64, in order to keep the budget of one of the industrial world's most generous pension systems in the black. The French spend the largest number of years in retirement among OECD countries, a deeply cherished benefit where polls show a substantial majority are reluctant to give up. Tuesday's multi-sector walkouts and street protests come a day after pension reform legislation began its bumpy passage through Parliament and are a test of Macron's ability to enact change without a working majority in the National Assembly. Sports now. Ducati test rider Mikel Pirro set the fastest lap time on the third and final shakedown day at Sepang International Circuit on Tuesday in the build-up to 3 days of official testing in Malaysia. Italian Pirro covered Sepang in 1 minute 59.803 seconds, 0.550 of a second faster than Yamaha test rider Cal Crutchlow, who dropped from the top of the timesheets on Monday to second place on Tuesday. Augusto Fernandez of Tech 3 completed the top three, with Aprilia's Lorenzo Savadori and Stefan Bradl of Honda finishing in 4th and 5th place respectively. With the shakedown complete, official testing will begin in Sepang on Friday. Meanwhile, in Zurich, Formula One's launch season continued on Tuesday with Alfa Romeo unveiling their new challenger for the 2023 season, the C43. This will be the final year for the team under Italian manufacturer's banner before it reverts to the Sauber name for 2024 and 2025, ahead of a partnership with Audi from 2026. In Finland's Valtteri Bottas, they have a proven race winner leading the team, alongside 23-year-old Zhu Guanyu of China, who is keen to show what he can really do after getting his rookie campaign under his belt in 2022. Last season, Alfa finished 6th in the Constructors' Championship, with Bottas's best result 5th place at Imola in round 4. Zhou's best finish came at the Canadian GP when he finished 8th. Having started strongly in 2022, one of the big aims for the new car will be to improve reliability, with the team suffering 12 retirements last season, the most of any team on the grid. The new F1 season gets underway in Bahrain on 3rd to 5th March, with pre-season testing taking place at the same venue the week before. MMEA seizes smuggled diesel worth 3.62 million ringgit. The details right after the short break. Welcome back. The Johor Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency, MMEA, busted a syndicate believed to be involved in smuggling 80,000 litres of diesel worth 3.62 million ringgit in Kota Tinggi on Monday. State MMEA Director First Admiral Nurul Hizam Zakaria said the seizures was made after a patrol boat detected an oil tanker in the waters of Sungai Lebam at 10:05 p.m. Nurul Hizam also said that 10 crew members, including 2 Indonesians, as well as 2 local men, aged 19 and 60, believed to be lorry drivers, were also arrested in the operation. He added the suspects were believed to be transferring oil into the vessel registered in Zanzibar, Tanzania, before they spotted the MMEA patrol boat and tried to escape. Aside from the ship, authorities also seized 2 tanker lorries, a Perodua Beza, and oil pumps. Checks also revealed that the vessel had previously been detained for illegal anchoring. All those arrested were taken to the Tanjung Sedili Maritime Zone office for further investigation. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look as locals in Chiang Mai dressed in bright costumes to participate during the Main Street Parade at the Chiang Mai Flower Festival. The festival, which has been running for 45 years or more, in fact over 45 years, celebrates the beautiful flowers in bloom during this time. With that, I'm Raymond Go. Thank you for tuning in and take care.